We're ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Today I started my day just like I do every day. First thing I do is I go look through Craigslist for anything that showed up in the last 24 hours that might be interesting for me. And I found this mower. Now, she's not much to look at, and even in the pictures, it's a little bit on the ugly side, a little bit dirty, but it looks like there might be something good under there. So I went and picked it up. And here's what she looks like in real life. Now you can see it's got a little dirt here and a little dust there. Well, a whole lot of dust there. But if you look closely, you can see that there's something good underneath here. And if you look at the exhaust, you can see that there's barely a burn mark on it, which tells me that this hasn't been used a whole lot. So let's clean her up and get to work on her and see what we've got. I know it's a little hard to believe it's the same mower after just a little bit of washing. That's why we joke around that it's $50 worth of dirt, because it's worth $50 more clean than it is dirty. So now we're going to take the carb off and get a good look inside. Let's go ahead and separate these. Okay. I mean, that's about what we expected. She's a little bit dirty. That's not concerning though. Okay, there we go. She feels awfully loose considering one bolt's still attached. So I'm wondering if that bolt's not a little bit loose itself. But since she came out of gas, it's a safe bet that she's leaking. Okay, let's reach around here with our little pliers. Pull the gas line off real quick. Now, while I do see a couple of drops of gas, I'm not really concerned about it, because I double checked the tank and it's definitely 100% empty. Trying to run. And there we go. Now we can ease this out a little bit and we can reach this little top screw. And that should be this one. Let's pull the linkage off. And this is the part where you want to take pictures before you take anything apart to see where the little springs go and how the linkage fits in. So you can see this sort of notches in here. That's easy to forget if you don't do it all the time. And that's it. She should be loose except for one piece of linkage. And there's our carburetor. So now I'm going to take her and I'm going to clean her up real quick. We'll clean the outside and then we'll strip her down and run her through the ultrasonic and clean up the insides. Clean up the jets and all that whatnot. Okay, let's get into the carburetor and see what we've got inside. There are a couple of kinds of jets for the carburetors. On one set, the jet's part of this nut that holds the base on. This one, that's the case. You can see the little hole here, which ventilates here and here. So we're going to clear that out real quick by hand before we throw it in the cleaner. And the next thing we want to look at, which I'm thinking will be a problem on this one, is the floats. You can see there's a little rubber seal in here. It's kind of hard to see. It's way deep inside. But it's there, trust me. And we got another little jet right here. And that's the reason she goes in the bath. So this is looking very promising, and this is the same carburetor. I just gave it a really good bath and cleaned her all up. And this is just overspray. Every one of these carburetors I ever see has a little bit of black overspray right there. Not quite sure why. I think that's how Briggs & Stratton marks their territory, maybe. Okay, we've got new water going in this with a little bit of Pine Sol, and I've given it a little bit of time to heat up. And you can see she looks pretty good, but that doesn't mean anything about what it looks like in the little jets and things. This is pretty clogged, and there's no saying what that jet's like. So we're going to drop her in. Take a look at the needle. Needle doesn't look like it needs any attention, but we're definitely going to drop the jet in because you can't see through the jet right now. It's got a little bit of dirt on it, so we'll drop her in too. Now we'll set the time. There you go. Now we'll let her run. Now if you wonder if it works, since we've got clear water, which we don't have very often, you can see the little clouds coming off of the parts. And that's the parts cleaning. So I'm going to let this sit. It's about lunchtime, so I'm going to, well, is that right? That's backwards. Okay, so we're going to let this sit and go make a sandwich. Okay, that should just about do it. Let's pull her out and see what we've got. We've got one pretty good looking carburetor. Now even the little corner dust and everything's all cleaned up off of it. Okay, bowl looks pretty good. Just a little leftover rubber sealant on the outside edge, but we can work with that. And let's find the jet. This is the heart and soul of the carburetor. This is what lets gas go from the bowl up to the engine. Now when you look at it after we've cleaned her up real good, kind of hard to see, but you can see straight through the little hole. Let's see if we can find an angle here. Oh, there you go. So you see the hole's wide open now. And I just blew in through the top and it blew out through the sides, which tells me that it's all good to go. Okay, after taking a quick look at this, it looks like everything's just about ready to go. So, first thing we'll do is lay the needle in. Put our pin in. Okay, the good old O-ring. I'm sort of turning it to get it to seat. Okay, that looks perfect. Okay, everything within looks all good and ready to go. So let's bolt her up and get her back on the motor and see what we think. There we go. Now give her a little extra snug because we don't want her falling off as we run down the yard. So that carburetor looks just almost new. So let's put her on the machine and see if she runs. This particular motor uses an O-ring to hold the carburetor on. That's pretty common on a lot of the newer Briggs & Strattons. So what we're going to do is put a touch of oil on the O-ring just to make her nice and shiny. You can pick whatever oil you want. The whole idea is to make it nice and slick so that when you put the carburetor on, it doesn't pinch it. Okay, that should do it. Now, we're going to go backwards from the way we took her apart. First, we're going to hook the linkage. And if you took pictures, this is the easy part. We're going to hook the linkage up. We're going to get her aligned. Go ahead and toss the fuel line on while we're at this part. Ugh. There we go. And now, we'll just Ouija her very carefully back and forth and get her in place. Now here's where a magnet comes in handy. We know all the screws that we need to put this back together are just right here. And if you took pictures of the linkage before you took her apart, then this part's going to be pretty easy. Say to yourself, okay, I remember this went right here, and it fit on this, see? And this fits right here to open and close the choke. So let's go ahead and screw that back in. And the only reason we do it first is it's just easier to get to with the carburetor hanging off. Our little tabs in place. And that's that for him. Okay, everything appears to be happy. Now your little O-ring in the back doesn't groove in or anything. It's just sort of got a cone that it fits up against. So when you slide it on, it's not going to stay there. Double check our O-ring, it's still there and in place. Okay, let's get our first screw started. I can hear the neighbor running around on his shiny new Craftsman mower. He just picked up a 30-inch cut Craftsman rider just a couple of weeks back. About 2 minutes after he got it, he ended up hurting his back and had to have surgery. So I had to help him out and cut him with mine for a few weeks there. Worst thing that can happen to a guy, get a brand new toy and then not be able to use it for weeks. It's a little crowded in here, but we're managing. You can't really hit the wrench straight in because everything in the molding of the carburetor is in the way. There we go. Now we managed to scooch under. So while we've got a grip, we'll go ahead and snug her down. Ah, we lost our grip. Where'd you go, buddy? There you are. Okay, let's stop you there and let's go over here. Okay, everything looks to be in a good order. So we spent so much time cleaning the carburetor up, it would be criminal to put these back on the way they look, so I'm going to go ahead and take them out and clean them real fast. The air filter doesn't look great. Looks like it's got a little water on it, but it's not full of dirt. It's definitely usable. Okay, after a good wash, it's looking a whole lot better. Let's get her bolted back together. There's one. There's two. That one just goes in hard both ways. Okay, she's in. It's like it gets almost all the way in, threaded in, and it hangs up. That takes care of that. Let's put our little top plastic cover back on. We're being ambitious. We're believing that everything is going to work great, and we're not going to have to open this up anymore. Plus, of course, I can't line the screwdriver up. That'll slow us down a little bit. There you go, that should do it. Okay, she's looking pretty good. Let's put some gas in her and see if she leaks. Okay, our goal here is nothing exciting. Okay, that was fun. Now we've got her in really good solid shape, and she starts on the first pull, and the drive system looks good, and the belt actually looks new, and the blade looks new. So it was obviously taken care of and just got put in a corner and completely covered with dirt. Now we already decided we're going to put front tires on her, so once they come in, we'll throw the fronts on and then put her online. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.